right, guys, welcome back to the show. Today we have a very, very special guest. You know him from things like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, CBS's FBI, NBC's Blacklist, The Walking Dead, and the list goes on. Today we're talking to Brian Sheppard. But before we do, let's get a word in from this week's episode sponsor, Pure Boost.
Are you looking for clean energy without jitters and bad side effects? No sugar, artificial sweeteners, or preservatives? With a good source of energy from green tea and B12? Then look no further. Make sure you visit pureboost.com and check them out today. We use this every day. It's our drink of choice to give us that good pick-me-up in the morning.
All right, welcome back to the show. Today we have a very, very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Brian Sheppard. Thank you so much for having me. I'm an actor, TV and film, and I'm really, really excited to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into becoming an actor?
Yeah, absolutely. I was cast in a musical when I was probably 8 years old, maybe 9 years old, and I had no idea what that was. I had never been to the theater, and so here I am in like farm country, Indiana, doing a musical. And when the show was over, I realized that's what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm going to be an actor. This is the best feeling I've ever had in my life. And so it took me from rural Indiana through college and grad school, and here I am in New York City, doing my thing.
Very cool. So can you tell me about your journey to become an actor and what that was like? And
Yeah. I as a kid, you want to do it. It's really exciting. It kind of gave me a place to belong and a community to belong to. And then over time, you kind of, you go to school and grad school and start training classically, and it becomes a business. So it's no longer about just the excitement and the passion, but now, you really have to kind of start opening your mind up. And for me, I think that's been the biggest part of my journey, is going from just doing it for fun to here I am as a full-time actor. And this is kind of my, chasing my dreams entirely on my own. It's been an exciting journey. It's changed a lot. When I got into it, I wanted to be a theater actor, and I went to school for theater, and did a little bit of it. And before I knew it, I got a curveball, and people wanted me to do television, which was this new world to live in. And so I think where I'm at now is very unexpected. If you asked me 7 years ago, where I would be, it would be still chasing the theater dream and auditioning all the time for plays. And here I am in an entirely different world. And it's been really, really exciting. I mean, it's definitely challenging and a full-time commitment, but it has been the biggest blessing and twist in my life that I never dreamed of.
so what would you say the biggest difference between theater and like getting prepared and doing a TV show would be?
Theater, you're blessed with rehearsal time. So you have time to build a character. You have 3 weeks, 4 weeks with the cast and the director to craft it, to memorize it, whatever it may be. But you have more time, and you have more time to develop the work on stage. So if I'm in a play, I may do 90 performances or 100 performances of that show, and it's going to change a lot over time. And kind of the biggest switch over to television is it's a two-pronged thing. One is the size of everything. And that was a lot to learn for me as like a dedicated theater actor, that I'm suddenly working in something that is really, really intimate and very close. It's probably the biggest change, and an adjustment. The other one being that you don't have the rehearsal time. So your audition, you're probably going to get a self-tape to tape in the middle of the night, do the next day. So you got like a couple hours to pull yourself together and look at the script and record it and make it sure that it looks good and can be heard and seen, and it's a quality, send it off, and you'll do tons of those. And then finally, you get the offer sometimes overnight, and you've got to be ready to go to set within a day or 2 days, completely prepared. So there's the rehearsal time is 1 or 2 takes. The time to develop the character is almost non-existent most of the time. And so it's completely different animal. It's less kind of a team effort in a lot of ways. I think in the film and TV world is where you would spend all your time in theater developing it all together. This one you do, but it's in a matter of minutes and hours, not weeks and months. So, and that's
Gotcha.
Like
do you have any?
You're on the seat of your pants the whole time.
Do you have any favorite things that you've done before you started doing TV?
Yeah, absolutely. I did Hamlet, Tennessee Shakespeare Company. Most of my training was in Shakespeare and classical theater, and that's always what I kind of dreamed of being. And so I think playing Hamlet was probably my theater highlight before the film and TV world says, come over here for a little while. That was the most demanding, scary, terrifying, cathartic thing I have probably ever done in my entire life, until I got to the film and TV world. Yeah, that was a dream. That was a role that I probably didn't deserve. I was not ready for it, but man, that was the highlight.
So jumping into the TV and film world, I did see that you've done some episodes of FBI and The Walking Dead and things like that.
Yeah, FBI was recent. That was back in September after about a 2-year period of really no work. I was about to kind of throw in the towel and wasn't sure what I was doing anymore. And thanks to my wonderful agents, I got an audition out of nowhere. And I'm talking quiet. I had maybe read 5 times over the entire pandemic, 5 or 6 times. And so this was a kind of an unexpected thing. Literally the week that I was throwing in the towel and just over it. And I read for it here at home. And within about 4 or 5 days, got the offer, and that kind of saved me. I think it kind of put new wind into my sails. Walking Dead was my TV highlight. Not because of the role, but because I was a longtime fan of the show, and I had watched it from ground up over and over. I binged that show forever, multiple times, and I dreamed of working with people like Norman Reedus, Andrew Lincoln, Lauren Cohan, to name a few. Really, to work anywhere in that franchise. I was ready to go down and just be a zombie in the background, way, way back there. I didn't care. And my agents in Atlanta had started sending tapes for it, which was really exciting. But 4 years later, I still hadn't booked. So I read for it over probably 24 times without booking it, no booking. And then a month later, 2 months later, I'd read again, nothing, read again, nothing. And that went on. 4 years later, here I am on like read number 24 or 25 for the show. I had just gotten off of my bar shift in downtown Manhattan. I bartended. It was like 4 a.m. I closed the restaurant. I was tired. I woke up my girlfriend and said, we got to film another one of these things. I don't know why. They're never going to take me. And we read for it, tired and exhausted and over it. And I woke up next morning at 9 o'clock, and my agent had been blowing up my phone and said, you need to get to Atlanta tonight. You film tomorrow. And that was like when they talk about dreams coming true out of thin air, no matter how long it takes. That was the moment for me. That was try again, and when you finally give up, here you are in your dream, standing next to the people you've dreamt of working with for decades. So that was the highlight.
I bet that was exciting to be a part of.
It was surreal. I had done TV before, and I had done TV actually right before that, um, SVU and stuff like that, and that was kind of a buildup that helped get me ready. But then to be on a show that you had dreamt of for almost a decade at that point, or a little short of that, and here you are in that world, that post-apocalyptic world, and you see the sets that you've recognized from TV as like a super fan. I was nerding out. I was fangirling all over that stuff. And then, I'm in the makeup trailer getting my work done one day, and in the seats next to me are the people, the cast. And that was probably the proudest, most surreal, earth-shaking moment of my life when I do turn around and I'm like, this is me too. And it's hard to explain. It's a really, really big, and it's a big feeling to wake up for that week or 2 weeks to film every day, knowing here I am, I'm walking back into my dream. Even though it's going to be for a little period of time, and then I got to move to the next dream. That was the most affirming moment for me. It was surreal. And also kind of the nicest and kindest people you could ever work with. A big giant family. When that finale happened a few weeks ago, I watched it. I sat here in my apartment alone, turned off the lights, and it was like watching a family for one last time. That's special.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And as popular as that show was, to be a part of that, even for that little bit, like you were saying, it's got to be, one of those highlights that you just look at and go,
something you don't want. You
I
don't
was
want
there.
Yeah. It's hard to watch now. Like after I did it, it was actually hard to go back and watch it because I wanted to still be there. And now like with the spinoffs coming out, it's like, my character was killed off in that episode, and here I am seeing more of it, and it's hard to watch because I still want to be there, and I still want to work with the same cast. Denai Gorina, people like this. It's just like, it's surreal. It's surreal, and it's a huge team of people after this one giant goal that takes hours. I mean, the makeup in the trailers, and I'm watching guys getting full zombie head to toe makeup for 12 hours in a day by the amazing hair and makeup team. It's just like an undertaking like you could not believe. It's its own world. It's a lifestyle for the people who are there making it every day. It has to be. It's completely consuming. And that's not true for everything. If you do a procedural like SVU or something, you go in, it's a well-oiled machine. It's very minimal as far as look and type and style and locations. It's already been dialed in. And so you walk in and you're filming those for a matter of maybe a few hours. Whereas when you're in a production like The Walking Dead, where it's part of your universe for that time, it's a nation of people, and you're completely immersed in it. You have to be. And you do have to pinch yourself to remind yourself, man, this is real. This is real. I'm here. I'm doing it.
Definitely. I mean, I can only imagine what that feeling's like, to have that elation, just to be part of something that you're passionate about, one, and then two, to have that and know that it's part of one of the bigger franchises that's been on TV for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big time. It was at the time. It was the biggest thing, the biggest kind of empire I had ever been blessed to be part of. So that was really exciting.
So as far as things that are out there, I would imagine that you're auditioning for a lot of different things, but is there a franchise, so to speak, that you'd like to be a part of at some point?
Yeah, there's a few. I would love to be part of Yellowstone. I think reoccurring work is what I'm interested more in now, rather than coming in for hours and leaving and being a blip on the radar. And so I would love to be more of an integral part in shows like Yellowstone, really environmental, beautiful dramas. I would like to have the time to dig deeper with a group of people. And so Yellowstone would be one. I really want to do fantasy. And it's actually funny, later today, in a few hours, I have an audition for a Game of Thrones style show. And so I think that's part of like one of my ultimate dreams is to work in fantasy. Even though it's hard as Americans, we don't do a lot of it here in this continent, and so those opportunities are extremely limited. Um, but the few times I have read for something of fantasy or fiction work is cool. I would love to do some work on Civil War or World War II films or television. Like Band of Brothers style work. That's kind of my dream as a classical theater actor. That's kind of like you want to stay in this world of history a little bit. And, if there's dragons involved and some great sword fighting, I am there in a heartbeat. I don't know what that project is or if that will ever appear here for me to take advantage of, but I would love to do that. The franchise I've worked most for would be the Dick Wolf world, with FBI and SVU. And that's another world because, procedural television is so fun and exciting and quick and fast paced, and it films really fast. And so I would love to do more like the Chicago Fire, Chicago Med world. I've read for those a lot. I've almost been on them a handful of times, and that's really fun because you get to walk into another well-oiled family, and the crews that work for Dick Wolf are some of like the hardest working, most dedicated people that I really like to be around. So that's like my obvious kind of trajectory, but in the back of my mind, I'm still the little kid that dreams of like being on a castle and having a great sword fight with a White Walker, right? That's that's my nerd side coming out. I would love to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And those things are something you don't see a whole lot of now, but I can remember, I don't remember how many years ago, but there were several that came out, that you looked at and went, I wonder what it's like to be a part of something that has to do with medieval history, or just something that just takes place in medieval times, so to speak.
Yeah, and an environment. There's shows where your environment is the city street, which you're already living in every day. Or for me, it'd be a pig farm. I grew up on a pig farm, and so like to be on a farm would be kind of normal everyday thing. But the environment that is so big and requires so much imagination and study and time and dedication from everybody to pull off the commitment, and the look. That's exciting because it's very, very rare. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of theater because you are living in those environments.
The things that I see out there now, everything's going towards the not so much fantasy, but the comic book, so to speak, heroes and things like that, which are really crazy popular.
Absolutely. Like the Marvel universe, for instance, is big and getting bigger, and you work on a set like that, and that's another pretty big environment to walk into, and kind of a big moment when you're working for for a Marvel or Disney, and you're part of such a huge machine. It's definitely a lot of pressure. I think even I had one line on that show or two lines, and it was the most pressure I've ever felt in my entire life. Because it's so popular, and the weight of it for people, it's their lives. And so when you're representing something that people they care about so much when they turn on that television, that's your Hamlet, that's your moment, and you don't want to let them down. So I think when those moments come around, they're few and far between. But man, that's exciting.
Oh yeah. I can only imagine, and being a very big comic book nerd, it's great to see the people that they pick, and whether it be for a single episode or whether it's throughout some of the movies and TV shows, but the people that they pick, you just kind of look at it and go, that person's a good fit for that role. You couldn't see anybody else doing that.
Yeah, I mean, they read thousands of people for these things per role, and so they really are. They're going to find truly the best. And that's all. I think also the weight. Not that I've had a big name character on them, but even with a small one, you know that people are very particular and they have expectation about what that role would look like and who they want to play the role. And so, like the weight put on people like Robert Downey Jr. or Sebastian Stan or whomever, that weight must be it's a huge responsibility. You know, you're dealing with millions of viewers and super fans who have already thought this through and how they want to see it, and you know, you just want to go out and give them what they want. That's scary.
Oh yeah,
Scary.
exactly. Yeah, and they're so secretive when they do everything too.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I didn't know when I did Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I didn't even know what the show was called until like days before I went in, or maybe a day before I went in, before I filmed. Um, you know, it's all kept in the dark. A lot of shows are like that. You know, when you audition, before you audition, you send in all your NDAs, and because people are clamoring for what's next, and so they keep it all completely under wraps, even for those that are in it. The scripts, for instance, for a lot of these shows, you're not getting until the night before, late the night before. You sign in on an encryption, and you get your secret, script that's only good for a certain period of time, and then it's destroyed. And so it's pretty cool. It's also really hard to keep a secret because then you can't really talk about it until the episode commercial airs, like the trailer airs on television or whatever that may be. So you might have to sit there for half a year to a year with this big news that you can't tell anybody about, not even your closest friends and family. So
what was it like being on set with Marvel?
It was big. I was only on set for a period of time. We shot in downtown Atlanta, and it was a night shoot, and so I was literally brought on to rehearse. We did get like a few read-throughs quick to rehearse hours beforehand. So I was brought into the plaza that we shot in, which was it's a real location. In the daytime, very few people on set. We read through it really quick. And then that night, when it's dark and they've got the helicopters and stuff coming in to film and the full SWAT team's there and stuff, I'm brought back onto set. And here you walk in and you're like, oh, this is huge. This is an army of people, helicopters and lights and noise, and here you are, with Bucky and Sharon in front of you in costume, and a huge team of FX people, and you got all your special effects people, and it's just an army, and probably the biggest crew I've ever seen in one room, or, in one space, and that was pretty unnerving. Like, I thought I was prepared because I had done like Walking Dead. I had gotten through like some pretty big kind of moments of stage fright and jitters, but then when you're on that, even though I had like one or two lines, wow. That was, when they say action, that was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Where am I? Can I speak? Can I spit the words out? It's always like that, There's every show's kind of like that to begin with because it's unknown. But like, man, when they say action, and you've got an army of people moving around you, and SWAT team guys with guns back here running around and through and past, and spotlights coming in. It's almost like you're on stage again. It's like a theater piece. It's not so intimate anymore, like it is with Walking Dead, or like a really intimate scene on FBI where you might have something that's just between you and one other person. Now it's between you and a million other people, and that was a oh shit kind of moment. That was huge.
I can only imagine, man, and it's one of those things where being a viewer of cinema, so to speak, when you're watching these shows on Disney Plus or CBS, NBC, whatever the case may be, for most fans, you get locked into it and you kind of immerse yourself into the characters. It's crazy, but it's weird how that works.
Yeah, and as actors, we get literally like whatever time it takes to be brought to a set, look around, and then they eventually say action. Sometimes that's seconds or minutes. You're brought in right away, and you step in, action, and you go. And sometimes you're brought in and you got some downtime, but like you're walking in, it's like, oh, this is my environment. You try to soak up the urgency and the feeling of it, and your imagination starts going so that you can just jump right in. You don't have time. Um, and it's a big environment to walk into, even though some of it is going to be computer generated to some degree or change. And in that case, you really have to use your imagination because parts of it aren't always there. You don't know, when you watch it on television 6 months later or 3 months later, you're like, oh, there was a that and that and that there too. That wasn't obviously there when we actually shot it. And so you are kind of your mind's going a mile a minute to just soak it all up. So what you see in your seat here is exactly what I feel going into film it. I just have to use a lot of my imagination because it's not always really there. Half the people might not be there, or half the environment might not be there. I'll say, I'll go in and just ask, what are we going to be looking at here? What are the sounds going to be? To kind of fill in those blanks and then go. All right, action, figure it out.
Right?
It's crazy. Yeah.
So for you, what is your dream role? Where would you like to see your career go?
My dream role, where I'm at in my career is, my dream starts pretty basic, and it's to work every day. It's to be a working actor on a show. I don't have a need to be a lead man. I'm not a leading man type. I know that. And so I would love to be part of a show that I'm waking up every day of my career and going and being part of a family and part of a team, a reoccurring, a season regular. Now, of course, I want to do historical work. I want to have my wake up every day job be to go play in a castle in a land far off. It's not a show I think that exists right now. I think it will as that trend comes back and we have more of this fantasy work that comes through. That's where it would be. But at the most basic level, it's to work every day with the same group of people and have it be my entire life. Because acting isn't my entire life. It's not the way that I pay my bills. It's not I still have my survival jobs. I work as a fishing guide in the off season, quite a bit, 200 days a year. And so I still have other ways. I'm waking up and pursuing my own business on the side. And then to have acting be that every day for me, be able to be everything. That's the only real need that I have. That's my only dream when I wake up in the morning, I think that franchise hasn't happened. Whatever that's going to be, I think it's going to be a surprise one day that I'm ready for. So
you never know; it could be around the corner.
You don't. It's all. I've never known any of this. I never expected any of it, and when it does come, I'm always surprised when I get that call. I'm always surprised when the audition comes in. I'm like, oh man, I'm still in this game. I'm really happy. This is my world right now. And then, I'll do a 50 or 100 of those, and then I'll book a role, and then it's like, wow, man, for these 2-3 days, I get to live my dream out. That feeling never gets old. Today, when I read later on for my audition, that's exciting for me because it's one day out of the month that, I actually get to step into this imaginary world and live that life, even if it's for 20 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. Yeah, it's exciting. And it always baffles me when it happens. I'm always shocked and amazed that I still get to do it again. I'm still in the game,
Oh, yeah. Are there any actors or actresses that you'd like to work with or directors at some point in the future?
Yeah. Barry Jenkins, hands down. I love that style and the worlds that man creates. Coleman Domingo, close friend of mine and director, artist. Another one that a gentleman I've worked with before that I would kill to be face to face with in that capacity. People like Ben Mendelsohn, actors who have a real spontaneity. They always get me really excited. Really, really, really excited because you don't always get that. So yeah, I think you see a quality of work in these really deep dramas like Bloodline, for instance, that require a tremendous amount of soul searching by everybody to produce, and I think that's kind of actors like Ben who could do that. John Leguizamo really excite me. Zendaya, um, who can completely capture you and take you in and lead that film. I wanna be around that energy. That's really exciting when it happens. You know, it's not the best. It's not always about the best or
Yeah.
the most famous. It's about people who are really just have magic around them and pull you in. And as an actor, when I'm in a scene with somebody, it's happening to me too. And those instances are so few and far between. And so I want to be around that. I want to be in that scene with those people who are living in a whole different world, and have a lot of fun doing it because it is fun.
It's got to be contagious too, when you're on set and you're around that type of energy, it just kind of amps you up.
It's a drug. It's a drug that you need, and you go home and you're still thinking about it, and then you're looking for more opportunities to have that feeling again and share that feeling with that person and be around that. Just like a magical show like The Walking Dead, where you're going in, and it does have a quality that is addictive. When you're done, it's almost there's a sense of heartbreak, and then it's a sense or a sense of grief almost because it's over with. The dream has changed and it's moving on into something else, into the unknown, and then you look for that feeling again. You want to grab it again. In theater, it's a little easier to come by because you do get so much time, and I feel like there's a lot more work out there if you're purely a theater actor, and you get to feed that need a lot more. But in film and television, it's glimpses of time, and those moments go really, really, really quick. Even when the day is long, you hold on to that feeling, and you have to be really, really thankful for it, and carry a lot of grace in those moments because they are few and far between, and you can be replaced. You can, this might be the last one. You really don't know, and so you have to soak up that day, 2 days, that week, that feeling. You have to stop and breathe and look around and say, "This for 5 days, I get to live my dream." And you have to feel that and remember that feeling because that has to hold you off. That appetizer has to hold you off for the next main meal, and that meal might not come for years at a time. Maybe never. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
You don't. It's unknown. It's an abyss that you just step into, and you trust that the stairs are going to appear to get to the Holy Grail on the other side of that cavern.
Just enjoy it while you got it.
Like everything in life, right?
Right. Right. So you got that audition coming up later today. Yeah. Hopefully that goes well for you. Yeah. Do you have anything maybe coming up that you might be looking into?
Yeah, well, I don't know. As far as television and film, I have my dreams. We'll see if anything comes up. I have no power over it. I have no say. I have no, I can't call anybody and say, give me an audition. It's really, a lot of that's really out of my hands. So I just keep planting seeds with people and, with my artistic family and with people I've worked with and in my kind of daily manifestations and whatever's meant to happen will come. I do have a few workshop readings of new plays coming up that I'm really excited with places like the Actor Studio. And that kind of keeps some of my juices flowing and gives me a way to rehearse some more and to explore and to keep my impulses moving in my body. And so that's kind of how I rehearse and kind of keep it fresh is, I'll work with friends on new plays that they're developing or TV scripts, and we'll do Zoom readings. Sometimes they're in person. Nowadays, almost everything is online. And that is my practice. And that's the few chances I get to stretch between the next TV self-tape here in my little apartment, So those are the things that are coming up in the next few months. I've got a couple of those, and then, we'll see where the world takes me. I really have no idea.
Well, I wish you nothing but the best of luck, and
Thank you, my brother.
the sky's the limit, and
Thank you.
you just never know what's around the corner.
Hey, same for you, man. You never know. You just got to step in, and those stairs will appear.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
That's right.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
taking. Absolutely, I appreciate taking time out of your schedule to chat with me and kind of go over your background and history, and what makes you a good actor.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. You take care, and I'll talk to you soon.